You've been lied to your entire life. Not by the media, not by society, but by your own brain. Because the harder you chase happiness, success, confidence, or control, the faster they seem to run away from you. Think about it. The more desperately you try to fall asleep, the more awake you become. The more you force people to like you, the more distant they act. The more you obsess over becoming successful overnight, the more frustrated and lost you feel. It sounds completely backwards, but that's exactly how human psychology works. And once you understand this hidden rule, you start seeing why so many people stay stuck for years without realizing they're the ones trapping themselves. Most people think life rewards intensity. Hustle harder, push harder, care more, control everything. But reality works differently. Desperation has a strange energy to it, and people can feel it instantly. When someone needs validation too badly, it pushes others away. When someone chases peace in a panicked state, they create more stress for themselves. It's like trying to float in water while violently fighting against it. The harder you struggle, the faster you sink. But the second you relax, your body naturally rises to the surface. That doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you stop attaching your entire identity to the outcome. You still work hard, you still improve yourself, you still show up every day. But internally, you stop acting like your whole life depends on one result. Because when your emotions become chained to every little outcome, your mind slowly turns into a prison. And this connects directly to one of the biggest addictions humans have, the obsession with control. People want to control everything: their future, their reputation, their relationships, their timing, their success. They plan every detail like life is supposed to obey their schedule. Then reality shows up, destroys the plan in 5 seconds, and reminds them how little control they actually have. Trying to control life is like squeezing water in your fist. The tighter you grip it, the faster it disappears. Ancient philosophers understood something most people still ignore today. Peace comes from separating what you can control from what you cannot. You cannot control the economy, the weather, traffic, other people's opinions, or random events. But you can control your actions, your mindset, your discipline, and your response to chaos. That shift changes everything. Because most people waste enormous amounts of energy trying to manage things completely outside their control. They act like they're supposed to direct the universe itself. But life doesn't work that way. You're not here to control the ocean. You're here to learn how to surf the waves without drowning every time the water gets rough. And while you're busy fighting those waves during the day, your brain is secretly fighting another battle every single night. Most people have no idea how important sleep actually is. When you enter deep sleep, your brain starts a literal cleaning process. Tiny channels open inside your brain tissue, allowing fluid to wash away waste that built up throughout the day. It's basically a nightly reset system for your mind. Now think about what happens when people constantly ignore sleep. Their brain never fully cleanses itself properly. That mental fog, irritability, lack of focus, emotional instability, and exhaustion people feel every day isn't always laziness. Sometimes it's a brain running on overload without maintenance. Your brain already burns huge amounts of energy every single day just thinking. Without recovery, everything becomes heavier than it should be. And maybe the biggest trap of all is the way people chase happiness itself. Society teaches you to treat happiness like a finish line. Once I get more money, then I'll relax. Once I find the perfect relationship, then I'll finally feel complete. Once I become successful, then I'll feel enough. But the human mind adapts unbelievably fast. People achieve the thing they obsessed over for years. And after a short time, their emotional baseline returns almost to normal again. That's why so many successful people still feel empty. They thought happiness was hidden inside achievement itself. But happiness is rarely something you can hunt directly. The more aggressively you chase it, the more frustrated you become. Real fulfillment usually appears indirectly, while you're focused on growth, purpose, connection, contribution, and meaningful progress. The strange part is that the moment people stop demanding happiness every second of the day, they often start feeling lighter naturally. Because peace doesn't come from controlling every outcome, it comes from loosening your grip. And your brain makes this even harder because it constantly distorts reality without you noticing. Human beings are deeply biased creatures. You judge other people harshly based on their actions, but you judge yourself based on your intentions. When you fail, you explain it. When others fail, you label it. You remember your wins more clearly than your embarrassing mistakes. Most people secretly believe they're smarter, kinder, or more self-aware than average, even when that's statistically impossible. Your brain isn't designed to show you reality perfectly. It's designed to protect your ego and help you survive. That's why awareness becomes such a powerful skill. The moment you start questioning your own assumptions, you stop being completely controlled by them. Most people never reach that point. They blindly trust every thought inside their head as if their mind is a perfect narrator. But it isn't. Your brain edits reality constantly. And here's the craziest part. Your logical mind isn't even fully in charge most of the time. People love believing they make decisions logically, but emotions quietly make the decision first, and logic usually arrives afterward to justify it. That gut feeling you get around certain people, your emotional brain processed signals long before your conscious mind caught up. By the time logic joins the conversation, your emotions already pushed the first domino. Your memories feel real, solid, permanent, but your brain is far less reliable than you think. Every single time you remember something from your past, your mind quietly changes it a little. It's not like replaying a video file. It's more like reopening a document and editing parts of it every time you read it. Your brain fills missing gaps with emotion, current beliefs, recent experiences, and sometimes completely invented details that feel 100% true to you. That's why two people can experience the exact same moment and later remember it completely differently. Your mind isn't recording reality perfectly. It's building a story that emotionally makes sense to you. Scientists have even shown how easy it is to create false memories in people who later defend those memories with total confidence. That means some of the things you're absolutely certain about may not even be fully accurate. Now that sounds unsettling, but it's also incredibly powerful. Because if your brain constantly rewrites the meaning of your past, then your past does not have to trap your future. Most people spend years replaying old pain like it's a permanent identity. They keep introducing themselves to the world through their worst moments. Their failures become their personality. Their heartbreak becomes their identity. Their mistakes become proof that they can never change. But your brain is flexible. Human beings are adaptable beyond belief. The story you repeat to yourself every day slowly becomes the reality you emotionally live inside. That's why some people stay mentally stuck in situations that ended years ago, while others rebuild themselves completely after devastating setbacks. The difference is often the meaning they attach to what happened. And if you really want to transform your life, you need to understand one brutal truth about human behavior. Most of what you do every day barely matters. People are constantly busy, exhausted, distracted, overwhelmed, but not actually effective. There's a hidden rule behind almost everything in life. A small percentage of actions create the majority of results. A few relationships bring most of your happiness. A few habits create most of your success. A few bad decisions create most of your stress. But instead of focusing on the things that actually move their life forward, people drown themselves in noise. Endless scrolling, constant overthinking, unnecessary drama, busy work that feels productive but changes absolutely nothing. Life is not linear. Tiny actions repeated consistently create massive outcomes over time. And this is where people completely misunderstand motivation. They think change happens through giant bursts of inspiration. But lasting transformation usually comes from boring, small, repeated behaviors. Your habits are quietly building your future while you barely notice it happening. And your brain loves habits because habits save energy. Almost half of your day runs on autopilot. You wake up the same way, think the same thoughts, react to stress the same way, follow the same routines, and repeat the same emotional patterns without realizing it. Every habit follows a simple loop: a trigger, an action, and a reward. Stress appears. That's the trigger. Maybe your automatic action is junk food, procrastination, doom scrolling, or escaping into distractions. Then comes the reward: temporary relief. Your brain doesn't care whether the habit helps you or destroys you. It only cares that the loop works. That's why bad habits feel so hard to break. You're not fighting weakness, you're fighting automation. And the secret is not deleting the habit completely. The secret is replacing the routine while keeping the reward. If stress is the trigger, maybe instead of grabbing your phone instantly, you go for a walk, exercise, journal, or breathe for 5 minutes. Same reward, different pathway. The scary part is that people underestimate how much their future is shaped by tiny daily choices because results are delayed. Nobody gets unhealthy after one bad meal. Nobody becomes successful after one productive day. Nobody destroys their life overnight. Everything compounds slowly in silence until one day the results become impossible to ignore. That's why the compound effect is so powerful. Improving yourself by 1% every day sounds laughably small. Most people ignore small improvements because they don't feel dramatic enough. But small actions repeated consistently create exponential change. Tiny progress today becomes massive transformation later. Read 10 pages every day, and suddenly you finish multiple books a year. Save a little money consistently, and eventually you build financial breathing room. Exercise a little daily, and years later, your body becomes completely different. The opposite is also true. Small negative habits repeated daily slowly destroy confidence, discipline, health, focus, and peace of mind. People overestimate what they can do in 1 week and massively underestimate what they can become in 5 years. And maybe that's the biggest lesson hidden inside all of this. Your life is not controlled by one huge moment. It's controlled by repeated patterns, repeated thoughts, repeated decisions, repeated reactions. Your future is quietly being built by what you consistently do when nobody is watching. Most people are waiting for motivation to suddenly transform them. But motivation is unreliable. Systems are what change lives. Small routines, tiny disciplines, daily actions repeated long enough for the math to become undeniable. And in the end, life becomes much simpler than people want to admit. Accept what you cannot control because most things are outside your hands anyway. Focus deeply on what you actually can control, your actions, your mindset, your habits, and your reactions. Then trust the power of small improvements repeated consistently over time. That's it. No secret formula, no magical shortcut, no overnight transformation. Just awareness, discipline, patience, and repetition. Most people spend their entire lives searching for complicated answers because simple truths feel too ordinary to be powerful. But the reality is that the small things you repeat every day eventually become your entire life. And whether that future becomes peaceful or chaotic is decided by the patterns you choose today.